Rescuing princesses, fighting strange monsters, and defeating the bad guy. Move over, every other early 2000s video game hero. It's Musashi's time to shine.
From the land of the rising sun, a lone warrior was catapulted to a magical realm. It was a world on the brink of catastrophe, and its people called desperately for a hero. Now, only Musashi can thwart the mad designs of a ruthless corporation. One man, one chance, one destiny.
Released in 2005 on PS2, Musashi Samurai Legend is an action role-playing game developed by Square Enix and published by them everywhere but the EU, where Atari did the honours. It earned a 64 on Metacritic, with positive reviews loving the mix of action and RPG genres, saying it's not quite a Zelda game, but it comes close. Even though there was a lot of backtracking, the game still looks great and has excellent humour and solid gameplay. Negative reviews pointed out there were good ideas, but the obesity of mindless combat and poor design pretty much ruined it all. And one I can completely agree with. The camera was infuriating and definitely popped a blood vessel or two. I'm going to try really hard to get the story right here. We start with a princess performing a summoning ritual, while a guard tries to keep intruders at bay. Who or what is she summoning? We don't know just yet.
Yes, I know! I must complete the summoning!
Enemies teleport in and take down the guard, which, let's face it, was an HR problem if they only sent one guy to protect what seems like an important chick. Anywho, a guy appears, addressing her as Princess Mycella of the Mystics, and mentioning President Gandrake as someone who wants to take over whatever kingdom this princess is part of.
We are the proud people of the Androdon. If you think we'll bow to you, you are sorely mistaken.
We're then shown a glowing figure being discovered in the woods. This turns out to be Musashi. a hero the princess was summoning to help fight against the forces of Gandrake. Mew was who found us, and he's an old martial arts master.
Hiya! What have we here?
He gives Musashi some training.
Perfect. I'll teach you nothing more today. Now, listen.
Then throws him right into his mission of rescuing Princess Mycella and bringing her back to Anthium, her home. On their way out, Gandrake appears and kidnaps her. Again.
Looks like we have to jump down. What the? Who are you? Let her go!
Oh. You do not fear me, boy? What's your name?
My name is Musashi. Let her go, or you'll regret it.
Rather impressive. My name is Gandrake. Unfortunately, I have other business to attend to, so I'm afraid you'll have to excuse me.
Musashi returns to Mew, who takes him to Anthium, a city built on the back of a giant flying whale? Terry Pratchett, eat your heart out. We're introduced to the leader, Bannon, who tells us about a mineral called nebulite, which powers the city. Gandrake has developed an invention called the Nebulum Engine, which needs magic to mine even more powerful forms of the mineral. So, he's kidnapping magic users. Our new mission is to find 5 sacred swords belonging to mystics of different elements, then using them to defeat Gandrake and return home. The catch is, each sword requires a maiden to unleash the power, so we have to find them first. Anyone else need a break after that? I'll put the kettle on. This is a pretty standard action game, with a few unique mechanics. Just like our old friend Geralt of Rivia, we have 2 swords, and each one does a different thing. The standard sword is used for quick, light attacks. The other one deals heavy damage. But as we progress and acquire the swords of the maidens, elemental damage is added.
Oh, sacred sword of earth, this brave soul from another world vows in the name of the 5 spirits, of mortals and of the heavens, to walk with you as long as he lives.
Sand, pebble, rock, boulder!
With each sword, we gain a new elemental ability to use in combat, and we can swap out our weapons at any time. So if there's a certain enemy that's weak to an element, we can have the advantage. Another mechanic I haven't seen before was learning enemy moves. The way it's implemented is kinda janky, but the idea is clever. We have the ability to scan enemies with our focus. If we don't know the move, a blue circle will appear on the enemy when we focus on them, so we don't have to keep track of everything in our heads. As they attack, we have to press square, This enables us to learn the attack and use it in combat with a combo of buttons and stick swivels. The RPG element comes in the form of leveling up and spending points on increasing our stats. We can't manually spend the points individually, and are instead given some choices on how we want them distributed. This does take away a lot of the decision making and micromanaging skill points, but it's also a little vague on how your stats are affected and how much each one is increased. The levels are made up of a few small segmented areas, and they're not too hard to navigate, but I did find the game didn't always signpost where I was supposed to go, and I got lost or went the wrong way a few times. The areas aren't always just hack and slash. There's mini puzzles to solve. Like this one, which I think might be the greatest puzzle ever made. I found it weird that the tutorial level was the same as the first Find the Maiden level, so we were just wandering around the same place again. This is where I got lost, because I stumbled into this maze before I'd found the maiden, and it took me way longer than it should have to realise I needed her help to navigate. Another mechanic is bike combat. Yes. This game has road rash. The bike is automatically driving. We only have to control going left and right and hitting enemies that get too close. You don't really know when the tunnel ends, but when it does, you get scored on how many things you hit, and money is the reward. We can come across these giant blue orbs, and they can only be destroyed with the heavy sword. In them are townsfolk who are imprisoned, and when we free them they become vendors, or other helpful stores when we go to Antheum. When we're taken there, we have our own room to recover our health and save the game. We can visit vendors to buy healing items, accessories, or get items that we find in the world appraised. These can become useful trinkets for stat increases or extra mechanics such as being able to see the health of an enemy when you lock onto them. The levels aren't overly challenging, as the enemies just sit and wait patiently for us to come along. The design is very repetitive. Like, I'd run around one level of a factory, go into the lift, and run around the next level that looks pretty much exactly the same, except we're one floor up. Then the game makes you run back on yourself to where you came from, and respawns enemies to make it feel less copy and paste. Something I think made me laugh more than it should have was the carry mechanic. We can pick up people for different reasons, and if we get into combat while holding something, we can use them as a weapon. Imagine needing medical help, and while you're being taken to safety, you're being swung around to clear the way. There's mini-boss fights, which aren't overly hard. You just have to notice the patterns and attack certain areas in order to weaken them. Then you can take them down. This isn't a problem in wide, open areas. But man, when you have to fight in a smaller enclosed space, well. It's time for Philly Fights the Camera! I can't even begin to understand what the camera was doing here. I tried to keep it behind me, or at least aimed at the boss, but it kept flying around and zooming in and out like a terrible 90s commercial. I'd get stuck on the walls or under the boss. Focusing on certain parts wouldn't help and I couldn't hit anything. Then if I tried to put distance between us, the camera would stay locked on the boss, so I couldn't see where I was running. In the end, I just crossed my fingers, hoped my health would carry me through this, and just kept swinging my sword until the boss went down. Musashi Samurai Legend is quite a simple game, but it has mechanics that give it a little personality. I read somewhere that it was considered a beginner's introduction to Kingdom Hearts, which I can really see in a lot of the mechanics. The story is a little much, so again, like Kingdom Hearts, but once you get the gist of it, you'll be able to keep track of what's going on. This isn't a hardcore action game, nor is it a moving, heartfelt tale of good versus evil. It's a fun hack and slash with over-stylized, funny-looking characters, combat that tries something interesting, a city on the back of a giant flying whale thing, and an awesome tiny little martial arts master called Mew.
Have no fear, Musashi! Don't think! Feel!
This was fun. Let's do it again sometime. And if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like down below.